Hey everybody, Jason from On to Play Games coming to you with some more Star Wars meta analysis as we move into the next weekend of Planetary Qualifiers. I know a lot of us are going to be going up to Durham, North Carolina to check out the Atomic Empire um, Planetary Qualifier. They have had well over 100 players at each one of their events. I think 111 at the first one and 124 at the second one, so they're definitely known for packing the house, and they did such a fantastic job of adjusting their prize support after the first event. There was a little bit of conversation about that prize support, and then they turned around and just made the second event really shine. So, big kudos out to Atomic Empire for their response to the public, and also for the fantastic judging team that they had put together throughout the two events that they've run. Um, so we're going to look at a little bit of some of the meta analysis and kind of take a look at what's out there and what you need to be ready for. And there might be some surprises, but we pretty much all kind of know what's going on there. Before we jump into that, we want to talk about our weekly event schedule in the Charleston area. This is going to be this weekend, Final Round Friday. Saturday is going to be Animal House. Remember, they got the Spin to Win Carbonite pack at the end of the event. And then Grand Line is doing the best of three, $10 entry. Will get you a pack of cards to start with, and each win gives you a pack, and then the winner of the event gets an additional pack. We're going to be continuing that starting September, which means this weekend. So kind of torn myself because I want to go to the Planetary Qualifier, but I also kind of want to go and enjoy the weekly events that we're having locally. Been very surprised that out of all the shops, Animal House and Grand Line have been the two that have been firing the most. They've had some pretty decent success, and I only see with this prize support it getting better. So it's really cool to meet the new players, especially over at Grand Line. Been a lot of new players showing up there and growing that community over there. And Animal House is just crushing it with the double win a pack as part of their weekly event prize support. So really, really cool. While we're doing that, though, let's take a look at some things that I wanted to point out. And that is, again, I tried to just limit this to only planetary qualifiers. But still, these minor tournaments popped up, like a weekly. They had a weekly that had 19 players at it. Look at this planetary qualifier in New Zealand. Now, it is New Zealand, don't get me wrong, smaller country. 22 players, 29 players out of Canada. These are some very 18 as a store showdown. Thank you. But yeah, we got store showdowns and weekly tournaments that are competing with some of these planetary qualifiers. And what that tells me is that either the shop isn't getting the word out about how important these planetary qualifiers are, because the grind is on, and there are not that many per season. All right. We think there's a whole bunch, but really when you look at like your region, you'll find that you only have like a handful of chances of really going to an event without having to be like super wealthy and being able to afford to travel all over the place. But as we take a look, we got Han Solo. And I'm going to start at the bottom, actually. We're going to go down here. We're going to skip this minor tournament here, skip the showdown, and we're going to go with our first planetary qualifier on 8:30, won by Cad Bane, Tarkin Town. Cad Bane has definitely been doing really well lately, especially as the meta's kind of shifted a little bit towards Sabine and some of those kind of traditionally aggressive decks. I mean, look, we got a Bosk Blue in here. We had 2 Cad Banes and a Boba Fett. Where are my Force decks? Well, they're down here. Matter of fact, we had 4 Force decks and an Avar. I'm sorry, but Avar Chris coming in the top 8 is pretty cool. I don't even care if it's 67 players is respectable. I think anything that's 80 or above is a good turnout. I think 60 is a minimum that you want. Anything less than that probably had some short-sightedness in the planning of the event and maybe the advertisement. I don't know. I don't know what affects those things, tournament by tournament, but I do know that, if you're not streaming it, if you're not getting the word out about your event, you do tend to limit your audience, and therefore you might limit the player pool that comes out. So with that said, 67 player tournaments, still pretty decent size, and we had 2 Cad Banes coming in the top 4, along with that Boba Fett Data Vault and the Bosk Blue. Bosk Blue just being your typical straight controlled deck. Let's see if they made any changes that are set 5 changes to Bosk Blue. No glories, open fires, vigilance, fill dragon, follow stock, strategic analysis. Twilight, nope, nothing big there. Tech, Supreme Leader Snoke, Emperor Palpatine, the client. Nope, this is just a traditional, just straight out of the box kind of way of going about it. I don't even see anything, maybe grenade strike being kind of in bombing run to secure against Vader's, but honestly, Vader's been on the drop, so I'm not sure if I would even worry too much about that. The Boba Fett deck with the Data Vault, I mean, honestly, the 3 Devastators finally finding a home for them. You get to play the extra disabling Fame Fighters just because you're having to put 60 cards in the deck. This deck has 61 cards, a little extra flavor. And there are several. The HK-47, the Allegiant General Pride. There are several set 5 cards that are in this list that give it some gas. So it's really exciting to see these decks incorporating some of the newer tech into them, as they kind of still stay kind of traditional. With that said, we'll take a look at the next one. That was down here with the there we go. These are all in the U.S. Cad Bane coming in first place right there. This one was won by Boba Fett. Look at Vader in second place, Sabine in third, and then finally in fourth. There's something missing. First, second, there's a third place missing. Maybe somebody got disqualified, or what I'm thinking is they'd already won a planetary qualifier, so they just eliminated them out of the point bracket. That could be the situation. But they only show the top 8. So that makes me lean a little bit even more, but there should be one that gets bumped up from 9th place up to 8th. So something a little strange about what happened to number 3. But nonetheless, we see Mother Towson here towards the bottom, and our force throw decks down towards the bottom. These decks electing to play without force throw really shining a little bit in the past few weeks. Let's see. That was our Data Vault. We got another Cad Bane Blue this time. Cad Bane Blue. Let's take a look at this list. You got your Loams, your Bazines, Enfys Nest, Pike Sentinels, always good. The Anakin Skywalker is the new tech. Dryden Voss is always fun. Cartel Spacer, Mist Hunter. I believe that's, nope, that's not new. That's Twilight. But yeah, the big one here being new is going to be the Anakin Skywalker, Champion of Mortis. And that's a beautiful version of the card right there. But do they have... They do have Bamboozle. So Bamboozle gives them their white card right there in the main. And they might have another... And they got a second Bamboozle there where they bring in the... full set of Anakins to turn them on all the way. You bring in the Bamboozle and you're well on your way. All right, that's nice. I like that tech right there with the Bamboozle giving you the white card, and the fact you can just pitch any cunning card to just play it for free. It's pretty cool. And Bamboozle is a nice way to answer Kylo Ren decks when they don't kill you right off the rip. So yeah, kind of cool tech there. Like that. Cad Bane adding in the Bamboozles to get those Anakin Skywalker's rocking. So Cad Bane Blue. Cool. Then we take a look. Quinlan Voss, kind of a force throw deck, so we'll give that credit there. Then you got Iden Control, Boba Fett Data Vault, and really the force decks are kind of down towards the bottom. Really liking this Red Force Yoda, which should have Rey in it, if I'm not mistaken. Red Ray. Yep, that's the one. Nice little synergy with Yoda there, being able to hit you with Rey over and over and over again. So that was Cad Bane Blue. Then we have a Quinlan Tarkentown doing really well with 109 players. So I'm going to take a closer look to this one. That top four kind of says it all. No force, kind of forces unit, or deck. A lot of people don't put Quinlan Voss as a true force deck, as it incorporates a lot of non-force units, and it's not using a force base, and it just uses the force throw. It's just a force throw deck. And then you got Rose Tico. This one is one that Bobby pointed out to me, I believe. It might have been one that won a planetary qualifier. But top 18 with Rose Tico. Pretty cool. With Nabat Village, yellow. And then you have some force decks down towards the bottom of the top 8. Again, force kind of being on the bottom of these brackets. Just kind of take note of that as you move into this new round of planetary qualifiers. The next one, 92 players out of the United States. This one's got the Jump to Lightspeed Han Solo taking first place. I go back to when that card was first revealed, and I remember just saying how broken that card can be on that flip turn. And most of the feedback I got was, well, it's only used one turn. I was like, 10 resources in one turn. Like really good. But again, this one has really very limited force decks down towards the bottom. Quinlan Voss making a great showing in this top 8. And we've got Gar Saxon popping in there. And also, like I said, the Jump to Lightspeed Han Solo showing what's up. And that's with a 92 player pool. So that Han Solo did very well. The next one I want to take a look at, we've got another Quinlan Voss, another Han Solo. Both of these with 61 or 61 and 57 players. So I'm going to kind of skip those. You got a 29 player event. It was Planetary Qualifier 1 by Mother Towson. 79, I'm going to take a look at this one here. We got Quinlan Voss. Now this is interesting. Emperor Palpatine has been doing some work. Especially the yellow Emperor Palpatine. And this was something that one of the former members of On the Play Games Discord was on pretty heavily, and has always been on Emperor Palpatine, but lately went to yellow, just giving it that extra oomph that cunning can bring. And you see Sabine down here in 7th place, not quite making it, but check that out. Darth Maul, Force Blue, Brett, it's calling your name. Check that list out. My man, Acolyte, Churrit, Darth Tyrannus, Director Krennic. Now, the Acolyte has a when defeated ability. Karis has a when defeated ability. Night Sister Warrior has a when defeated ability. Owen Lars has a when defeated ability. And that's about all the when defeated abilities you need to really take advantage of Director Krennic. So this is a cool list, and I think something that should be taken note of. It does have the 2 Devastators and the 2 TIE Dagger Vanguards. These are the ones that do 2 damage to a unit that is already damaged. So that's pretty cool. This is a very cool list. You can put Owen Lars out next to a Director Krennic on turn 1 and have a restore unit and a unit that will continue to deploy things like Acolyte with its when defeated ability on turn 2, and also be able to put out Karis on turn 2 as well, all while also having one resource up for that Force Lightning right there. All right, so very cool list. I like the Coyote Mondays coming out of the sideboard. That makes me feel like there's Anakins in here. Yep, there sure are. That's always a good little push, kind of taking that from the Mother Talzin list. And Darth Maul, kind of getting it done and getting it done without having to use Ogdo Bogdo. No Ogdo Bogdos. Gotta love it. All right. That is pretty cool. So, Brett, if you're watching, I would definitely take note of that list right there from the Planetary Qualifier in Cardiff, Great Britain. Had 97 or 79 players in it. So that's right there. Then we go up to Wedge, 22 players. Not really going to pay too much attention to that. 90 players, won by Han Solo Blue, or the Red Han Blue. But here's the one I like to see. This Chancellor Palpatine. We finally get to take a look at this list a little bit closer. And there are, I mean, you got Anakin Skywalker, of course, Grogu, Talzin's Assassin, Yaddle, Yoda. You know, some of these units actually do use Youngling Padawan. When played, you create the Force. Okay, cool. Supreme Leader Snoke, Fireball just because it dies. Geonosis Patrol Fighter because it's good tempo. Avenger, Darth Vader, Twilight's Apprentice. That's the new ambush one, which makes me think that it has, yep, right there, the Shin Fury, to give it the ambush and prevent 2 points of damage coming back to it. So that's kind of interesting. Super Laser Blast, Vigilance, electing not to go with a well, he does have the Super Laser Blast. What's missing in here? Well, nothing really. It's got all the good stuff, including the Force Throw. So all these are really good Force units early out. Has Luke Skywalker and Anakin, so really good. Plus tech for the long game. And Singleton Supreme Leader Snoke, just because Supreme Leader Snoke is absolutely bonkers when it comes to a unit in certain matchups. Take, for example, Darth Vader, yellow. If you can get the Supreme Leader Snoke, that game's pretty much locked up. You might as well go to the next game. So Chancellor Palpatine flipping both sides, or playing both sides. Getting it in the second place. Mother Talzin. So in this particular event, we have 3 Force decks making it into the top 4. And we have another 3 Force decks in the bottom half, too. So this is a lot of Force decks coming out here. 2 Mother Talzins make it. We've got a Count Dooku with Virgins Temple. Is that the blue one? Yep, that's the blue one. Very interesting. Giving exploit, getting units out there quicker. Things like Owen Lars are great for exploit. Super Laser Technician, same thing. Talzin's, sorry, not Talzin's Assassin. Karis, when you have the Force, pretty sweet. And then being able to get up to your devastating gunships quickly, or your Avengers, is always nice. Excuse me, guys, got the hiccups now. All these Force decks gave me the hiccups. So yeah, this was just a 2K open. So do keep that in mind. It was not a Planetary Qualifier. Major Tournament 2K opener. 104 Planetary Qualifier won by Anakin Force. Now Anakin really does have a nice position in the meta with all these 2/4s that are out there. It can match your 2/4 with a 2/4 and then plow into your 2/4 blast and just take it off the table. And look at the Emperor Palpatines coming out. Again, Emperor Palpatine yellow, very strong. Gar Saxon making it in there. Again, you've got this ECL Sabine, another Vader going out there. And you got Kylo Ren Tarkentown. It's a force throw deck, but it's a little different in that it doesn't use the force to continue, to create advantage, where the Anakin Blue list will do that. But look how few force bases are being used. But one, I'm going to say this has probably got force throw in it, right? Yeah, it's got that force throw. So that's got force throw in it. That has force throw in it, and that has force throw in it. And those are three out of 8 decks have force throw. So you're seeing that little bit of a movement away from the force throw decks really dominating in these bigger tournaments. You do have 2 Sabine decks. They were kind of small events, so not really too interested. Maybe look at this 62-player one. Got a couple Hans right behind it, chasing it. Another Han Solo from Jump to Lightspeed making it up there. Another Han Solo in the mix. And then you have Asajj Ventress, very cool, and Third Sister making it into the top 8. Very interesting there. And then finally, I think that's all the big ones I wanted to look at. But if we take a look at Planetary Qualifiers, Quinlan Voss, Boba Fett, and this is just this week, week 5, this past weekend. Quinlan Voss, Boba Fett, Sabine Wren, Han Solo, Cad Bane, all having 2 each. I think there's 2 missing from the Han Solo. That should be a little bit higher than that. Should be at 4. So I think Han Solo is leading the pack, and then everybody else is at 2. And then we got Mother Talzin, Darth Vader, another Han Solo from the Jump to Lightspeed, and then Anakin Skywalker from Twilight. All doing really cool. We got some unusual PQ champions in Kira, Poe Dameron, and Admiral Akbar. I learned quickly in the last Planetary Qualifier that Admiral Akbar will beat you to death if you let it do its thing. And I did in my double Ray Scooby Snacks deck, lost to it terribly, even though I felt like the deck was well positioned against what would be meta. Admiral Akbar happened to be my first, what do you want to call it, first round opponent, and it did really well there. So cannot knock it. Really cool. I love the statistical breakdown of this particular site. The SWU base is really cool. And if you look at all tournaments, it'll show you them all. It'll give you the Planetary Qualifier breakdowns. This is for everything so far. All weeks combined. Quinlan Voss is ahead. Boba Fett, Han Solo right behind it, and Sabine Wren climbing back up from the bottom. Then look it down here. Emperor Palpatine leads the pack between Cad Bane and Kylo Ren, which is really cool. Mother Talzin down here, and this is Planetary Qualifiers all combined. I do feel like the Mother Talzin win might be, 2 might be a little bit low, but that's okay. Another one is Meta Snapshot. This is where I think the Han Solos are showing me there's just a little bit of a discrepancy. I believe it's because there were Han Solo Force and there were Han Solo, I believe Data Vault was the way it was going. So like a Han Solo Green. And that's why they're just giving us leaders that were winners, along with their bases and breakdowns. Then down here you can take a look at Han Solo Worth the Risk with the blue 28-point force base. It's got a conversion rate of 16.9%, which is down. Its win rate is down. The deck count, it is more popular now, so it's going up. And it does have slightly more of a meta share because of that. Quinlan Voss is sitting at also about 16.5%, so almost 17%, right there behind the Han Worth the Risk. And it is at it's gone up. I mean, it's gone up considerably, actually, in the playability just this week, this past weekend. We are looking at just a snapshot for up to right now. Okay, the meta snapshot right there. If I go back any further, I'll be in the weekend before. But nonetheless, we look down here at Sabine Wren. Sabine Wren is on the rise in popularity, even though it is really holding a very small meta share. It is 5% of the meta, but it has got a 17% conversion rate to top 8s. All right, that's pretty impressive for only 5% of the meta. So it's going down, though, in its meta share, even though the deck count went up. And I think that's because there's been such an increase in these other two decks. Then we've got Boba Fett with Data Vault. That is where we start to see a little bit of a drop off in the conversion rate. Han Solo worth the risk, Data Vault. We got to be mindful. There's only 3 decks, and one of them won, so a 33% conversion rate to top 8s in the one win. That's a little bit skewed there because of the small sample size. Also with the Cad Banes as well. All right, from just this past weekend. Cad Bane overall has done pretty well. And then Han Solo, never tell me the odds. This is the new Han Solo. It has gone up in popularity quite a little bit. It's 12 decks, one of them converted, got a 16.7% conversion rate to top 8s, and one of them got a win. So pretty cool, and it's only holding 1% of the meta share, so kind of keep that in mind. And these decks just keep going down in their meta share. Darth Vader, Squadron Leader, is about 3% of the meta. Conversion rate of a little less than 12%. 17% Cad Bane with Tarkin Town. So Cad Bane with Tarkin Town versus Cad Bane Blue. Because such a small sample size, might be very hard to determine if those, which one of those two angles of playing Cad Bane is the best. But I do like that blue one. It is kind of, we looked at it just a while ago. It is pretty snazzy with the ability to ambush in blue Vaders and take care of your opponents that way. But anyway, that has been a snapshot of things to look for. I think that when it comes right down to it, you want to be able to take care of anything that's on this list right here. Anything's on this list. Maybe the Han Solo, not so much. You definitely want to have a plan for Darth Vader, just because it's the cheapest deck to get into that's aggro, and it is a beast when it gets loose. Mother Talzin, you just need to have a plan for it. If you know how to keep them off the Force, you, for the most part, win that match. And they need to know how to play their lines when it comes to Director Krennic and how good that card is and having explosive turn 2s. Anakin Skywalker, just got to know to attack their units before their units get to attack you. And then we get into the big ones. Quillen Vos, you have to have an answer for. Boba Fett with the Data Vault, you have to have an answer for it. Sabine Wren has to be answered. You have to be able to hold ground long enough so you can get into those later rounds and come over the top of them. Han Solo, this is going to be the red Han Solo. He is really kind of the new boogeyman in town. Everybody's kind of gravitating towards him because he's done really well the past couple of weeks. But both him and Sabine have done really well, and Boba Fett have done really well, and Quinlan Voss have done very well. So, if it was to me, I would say everything but the jump to light speed Han Solo. 7 decks with my main focus being on Quinlan Voss, Boba Fett, and Han Solo. Sabine's a little less in the meta, but Han Solo is definitely a strong amount of the meta, and Quinlan Voss is a strong amount of the meta, and Boba Fett, I believe, is more of the meta than Sabine, or might be right there with it, along with Cad Bane. So those are the kind of things you want to be looking out for. Okay. With that said, that's kind of your meta breakdown for today. We are looking at this being recorded on September the 3rd as we all prep to get ready to move into this week, the 6th week of the Planetary Qualifiers for Legends of the Force. And that is what you need to be looking out for. So with that said, whether it's day or night, may the Force be with you.